Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul.
And this time round we're talking about SNL. And we're going to do a beginner's guide for all you Europeans.
We do a video every Tuesday and Thursday, and we have a large library of stuff, which goes check it out. Also like, subscribe, comment down below on any of the videos that you like, and we could share it out. And as I said before, our subscription, subscribing to our channel is really handy to us.
Yeah. Thanks a million if you already have, and thanks a million if you're just about to do it. Click away. So, Saturday Night Live, we're both Irish.
Yes.
But I have a lot of American family and spent an awful lot of time in America as a child, etc., etc.
Okay.
So I have a very deep love, and it's very close to my heart. Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
An NBC TV show that started back in 1975. Started by one Lorne Michaels and others, but Lorne Michaels is seen as the godfather of it all. You've probably, if anybody out there this is not the beginner's guide for you, if you're like, I already know who Lorne Michaels is, we'll be covering other stuff. But for those of you that are coming completely fresh, think of this. He's so influential that he inspired a little bit of Dr. Evil.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Evil. And also the Alec Baldwin character on 30 Rock. Which, by the way, 30 Rockefeller Center is where Saturday Night Live is recorded. And Tina Fey was head writer on Saturday Night Live and was also a star of Saturday Night Live before she did 30 Rock. Everybody was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Just about.
I can think of several comedic, improv and everything from, probably from the majority of a lot of the comedy films that I've watched when I was younger were from SNL. And originally I didn't know that. Originally I saw them like Ghostbusters, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray were just the Ghostbusters. And Groundhog Day and Stripes and stuff.
Well, the original casts, a lot of people think, they're just stars, but they don't realise that they were actually not stars, and then they started out in SNL. Saturday Night Live, SNL as it's known, is it's a live show. So let's go through really, really quickly what it is. It's a live show, about 90 minutes long. Now it's part live, part sketches that are pre-recorded. There's usually a musical act, not always, but there's always a guest host. Guest host, he does a monologue, so quite often they're hyping whatever movie they've got coming out or whatever. It's a little bit of a spot to do
self-promotion,
to publicize things, but also they'll take part in the sketches, so you'll get genuine full-on Hollywood stars taking part in comedic sketches. There's also one of the other big things is the cold open, which everybody knows as the thing that they do a sketch and then at the end of it they'll break character and go, and live from New York, it's Saturday night. All that started way back with a lot of very, very famous people now who weren't famous people then. You got Chevy Chase, you got Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. Let's see, I'm gonna check my cheat sheet for the other big famous people. Like Gilda Radner's amazing. Jane Curtin. A lot of these faces on screen. Jane Curtin, a lot of people will be like, who's that? That face. And everybody's like, oh yeah, she's been in everything. And I grew up with her and stuff. Can't remember what the big TV show was. So not just making Ghostbusters out of Dan Aykroyd. Bill Murray came along a little bit later, but almost everybody, including Chevy Chase, went on to have a film career from the early days. Yeah,
they moved on from SNL, from doing a season or two from SNL, and then moving into doing either their own movie stuff, as in writing and produce, or writing their own comedy stuff and getting it done, or going into films themselves. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and to give you that kind of that little bit of history of SNL, so from 75 to 80, it was just making stars out of people. Bill Murray came along and really kicked that up a notch. But then around 80, I think it was, it was around 80, Lorne Michaels left. He left to go and start making, he wanted to make feature films and things like that. It went through a very, very bad period. The cast was not brilliant at the time. It did have a young guy, I think he was about 19, called Eddie Murphy. You might have heard of him because he went on to be absolutely gigantic in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And is hopefully coming back. He's been confirmed as a guest host. Old cast members come back and guest host sometimes.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy had a bit of a falling out with the Saturday Night Live people because of David Spade.
Yeah, so David Spade's made a joke about Eddie Murphy's career, I think, and Eddie Murphy believed, because at the time he was on the SNL, he was very much the kind of one of the things that was keeping SNL quite current and alive, I believe. So he felt he was off limits in certain ways of that kind of thing, and took a little bit of a notion when James or David Spader made that joke.
Yeah,
he did go to the 40th.
He went to the reunion, which I thought was great, because there was talk that he mightn't go. And to be fair, I think David Spade did that as part of Weekend Update. One of the other main segments that I forgot to cover in the makeup of it all.
It was Hollywood. And
the joke, as far as I remember, it was, I think David Spade looked at the camera, up came a picture of Eddie Murphy, and he went, "Oh, look, a falling star."
Yeah, he said, "Oh, look, children, a falling star.
Which,
make a wish."
Look, children, it's a falling star. Make a wish. Yeah, yes, that's right. You make a Hollywood Minute omelet, you break some eggs. Don't write the letters. You can't take the job.
Which is rough. I can understand why Eddie didn't take it too well.
No.
But to be fair, at that stage, Eddie had more fame and money than...
Yeah.
So, come on. But we move on, because in around 85, 86, Lorne Michaels came back. They no longer had to rely on Eddie Murphy to keep the show afloat. Lorne is a mastermind. He's obviously the creator of the show, but he seems to also be just this maven, this guy that really can corral and know what the right next thing to do. And as far as spotting young talent, it's not just... I want to kick into the next generation of people. Let's see, does anybody remember... let me just see. So in the 80s, we had Julia Louise-Dreyfus from Seinfeld and Veep, Jim Belushi, John Belushi's brother, Christopher Guest was there, Harry Shearer. Half the voices that have ever been on The Simpsons were there. Not just actually in front of the screen. You had Conan O'Brien writing behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, he was one of the writers.
He went on to be somebody, I believe. You have John Lovitz, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, the voice of The Simpsons for me. Hi, I'm Troy McClure. Yeah. Who, bless him, rest in peace, met a terrible end. Google that, it's just a weird story. So that's the 80s. The 90s, I'm just throwing out a load of names because this is hopefully showing up on screen as I'm shouting things. Mike Myers, Chris Rock, Rob Schneider, Chris Farley, David Spade, Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, Tracy Morgan, Jimmy Fallon. Any of those people go on to be anything?
Nah,
they
didn't do anything.
And it gets worse. I
believe I saw Will Ferrell at a car dealership in Florida.
Yeah, he's now washing windshields, I think. So everybody went on to do late night or have a movie career. Adam Sandler went on to have quite a big movie career.
Yeah. Interesting fact about that, which is him and Farley and Adam Sandler were both let go at the same time, and they were, as understood, not given the reason and stuff like that. But at the time... they moved on to or Adam Sandler at least moved on to a massive kind of movie career and stuff like that. So, there's some interesting kind of tidbits there. Adam Sandler was doing really well on Saturday Night Live, and then let go and moved on to a massive movie career.
Oh yeah. So, well, you've had people like Norm Macdonald was let go because Norm Macdonald was doing the Weekend Update desk. And the new owners of Time Warner, NBC, whoever it was that had bought NBC, he kept making jokes about the guy.
Yeah.
And he, unmercilessly, he just went for it and he's like, I'm going to keep making jokes about that guy. Because Norm Macdonald's self-destructive at the best of times. Yeah. His show on Netflix, not bad, actually.
Yeah, he also did I think he was kicked off the desk when he did the O.J. Simpson jokes.
Our top story tonight, this week in the O.J. Simpson trial. After grisly photos of the murdered Nicole Brown Simpson were shown in court, O.J. turned his head away and wept. It was at that moment that he realized he would never be able to kill her again.
Some of the O.J. stuff was a little close to the bone for people, I think, as well.
I think he was kicked off the desk then, and I believe he was brought back.
He, from what I remember, he was off the desk and back on the desk a couple of times.
Yeah.
The desk wasn't as stable as it is now. So the desk is the Weekend Update segment where they do sort of a news anchor. Famously, People like Seth Meyers, who has a late night show, very popular on YouTube also. He was desk presenter. Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, people know them together and separately through 30 Rock and Parks and Recreation. Just everybody. I'm not going to go through the rest of the big list of names, but let's just say in the 2000s, you have more people who went on to create entertainment. Same thing in the 2010s. So why is Saturday Night Live so important? Sorry, you go first.
just to mention some of the later guys, you've got Bill Hader, who's fantastic, and Adam Sandberg, who are two of the kind of like I would like to mention because they're really,
please
really good.
Yeah. Well, Bill's my favorite cast member of all time.
Yeah, so like, Bill Hader. But there's plenty of other guys that have gone on. Plenty of other comedians gone on that just have massive careers and stuff like that. It is a real kind of staging point for a lot of comedians to go to that. Even Keenan.
Yeah, Keenan Thompson from Keenan and Kel, and Keenan's still there, being maybe one of him and Cecily Strong, my two favorite current cast members. But Keenan's just been the rock. Like, he has been the bedrock of Saturday Night Live. I think he's the longest serving cast member now, 13 years or something like that. 13 years is a long time to do live Saturday night TV show, so fair play to him. And he's looking younger and better and fitter than ever. So why is Saturday Night Live so important? It's not just because it boosts all these careers or creates all these stars. It's that it creates entertainment. We've hinted at it there with 30 Rock and Parks and Recreation and stuff like that. Then you've also got the Seth Meyers and the Jimmy Fallons of this world, your hosts. Do you remember David Letterman's like music band guy, Paul Schaefer? Paul Schaefer, Saturday Night Live. Most of The Simpsons, Saturday Night Live. But there's also the political sketches and things like that people have started saying Saturday Night Live can turn elections. Tina Fey famously did Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Sarah Palin, fair play to her, actually went on Saturday Night Live as with Tina Fey playing her once, and they had an interaction that was fabulous.
What was it? The story for that was that Tina Fey didn't want to be. So usually they have this place where they'll have someone impersonate someone. Adam Sandberg did, which gets Facebook guy. Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg's or another cast member pretended to be Mark Zuckerberg, and then, the guy who played Mark Zuckerberg in the Facebook thing was there, and then off screen Mark Zuckerberg was there. So you have this kind of level of impersonators. Tina Fey played Sarah Palin, and Sarah Palin was watching the thing from backstage because Tina Fey didn't want to be seen as endorsing her or anything like that, which is an interesting kind of. So there is politics going on because it is a very political charged show as well.
And it's influential in its politics, insofar as a lot of people that wouldn't usually watch the news do. Part of the demographic are people who would watch Saturday Night Live and make decisions there. It's been seen that they've actually hurt some, because they'd be considered quite liberal, so therefore Democratic Party supporting, but they've actually hurt Democratic candidates by taking the mickey out of them. A lot of people say Barack Obama got a big boost from them, picking on some of his opponents, which I think is a bit of guff to that. But I do want to move on really quickly to the thing that we're also not mentioning, the direct films that have come out of it. There have been sketches on Saturday Night Live that have become movies. You've got the Blues Brothers, classically. There's Dan Aykroyd and Mr. Belushi at their best. That was a sketch originally. Wayne's World was a sketch. It launched Mike Myers' career into the stratosphere for the second half of the 90s. Then you've got The Lonely Island, which is the Andy Samberg and the rest of the guys.
The music thing.
Yeah, they're
a music group. They also did a film,
Digital Artists.
The Mystery Team or something like that.
Yeah, and they did Superstar, Don't Stop Never Stopping, which is on Netflix and well worth a watch.
And
Hot Rod.
Yeah, Hot Rod, which is a really good film. You should look up. It's Andy Samberg.
Actually, Hot Rod is one of the best films of all time.
It's a very good comedy.
I love that film. So they've done a lot. They've won more Emmys than anybody could ever fit in a room. They just win Emmys a lot because they've been going for a long time, and they're also really, really good at what they do. But they have way more than just the launching people's careers, all their Emmys. They also have all the people that they didn't make famous, but that they had. Robert Downey Jr. was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Al Franken he became semi-famous and then ended up becoming a senator and then ended up being Me Too'd. Like, they have a lot of people who have had strange paths to and from them.
Yeah.
So no matter where you look in the entertainment industry, you can trace it. It's like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
4 degrees of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to kind of... I'm going to go to why it's so impressive in a second. So is there anybody that we've missed out that you want to cover?
There's a couple of things, that I've always been interested in, because it is a live show, there has been some incidences of certain words, mostly the F word. So there's some interesting F-bombs being done. I think one of the ones that's famous is Slater, Jenni Slater.
Jenny, yeah.
She had been on the show for one season. Her first skit that she wrote, because the actors also write some of the skits themselves, which is her sketch was like biker chick, and she by actually said the F word, dropped it, and was let go, and like that was the first skit she got on the show, and that was her last. And which is awful, but completely understandable in a certain sense of censorship, and also ownership of the fact that it is a live show and you need to be kind of aware of that.
Well, there have been obviously the live F-bombs. Also, Jenni Slate got on. Her career is doing quite fine because you've seen her. She's done 2 things that I would love to do. She's been Chris Evans's other half for a while. I'd like to go out with Chris Evans too because Captain America is my man. But she also got to act alongside Tom Hardy, who's an awesome actor. She was in Venom.
Yes,
she played the leaker person, the whistleblower. I don't know what way you put it. The person who was like, I'm inside this organization and they're doing evil.
I think the whistleblower.
Thank you. Not a topical word at the moment at all. Whistleblower. Controversies though. If you're going to bring in the dropping the F-bomb, Sinead O'Connor went on as the musical guest, pulled out a picture of the Pope and tore it apart
when she sung the word evil.
I'm not going to argue with her on anything politically. I'm just going to go ahead and say Saturday Night Live is an interesting place to try and do that sort of thing.
Yeah, that kind of political statement. Lorne Michaels really hates the fact that... and
that's why.
He really hates people... He really hates guests, especially going off script, and the fact that,
Yeah.
Because they tend to do that kind of stuff. And there's some other ones that kind of like are interesting. You've got the...
Yeah, go for it. No, sorry.
The Ashlee Simpson's lip sync.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ashlee Simpson, bless her, and hopefully we'll find a clip of it, because usually you have to perform live, but on rare occasions they would let people play the tracks, which is maybe one of the reasons why the track was so messed up. It started playing, she did 2 songs that night. The first one went fine, and the second one, it started playing the first song again.
Yeah.
And she did this weird dance like a flobbity jobbity jig or something.
Yeah, and it would have been so bad, but at the end of the night, all the guests and all the actors get together and they all say goodnight and thank you for the show and everything. She was Jude Law, I think, that was on that show. She tried to like play it off as if her band played the wrong song, and she did a hoedown to like cover it. So it was kind of like you were caught in a lie and now you're lying again.
Not cool. She's not the only one that's done something weird recently though, because Kanye West last year, bless him, he's had some ups and downs. He went on a bit of a rant with a MAGA hat, and apparently after the closing got everybody to stay there so he could talk to them when they did that whole onstage bye-bye moment. Apparently there's footage of it. I've never bothered going to look because it just sounds cringeworthy. And you don't really want to see professionals, because Kate McKinnon and Cecily Strong and people like that, and Vanessa Bayer may have been there last year. These are some of the smartest, funniest people in entertainment. I don't really want to see them standing there trying to be politely like staring at an audience going, it's okay, the crazy person will stop in a minute and then we'll all get to go home. Thanks for coming out. Ugh. So why am I banging on about SNL so much, and why are we so into it? Because it's still so impressive. It's live TV. They do this in a 7-day span. They don't plan these things out a year in advance. They don't write all their sketches. They write them to be topical and current. So the writer's room and the performers and the guest, they come together on a Monday, and by the Saturday they have a show. So at the start of that week, they'll have, halfway through the week, they've got like 40 sketches that they're still kicking around.
Yeah.
And that gets narrowed down. That's amazing. But think of the people who have to make the sets. do the costumes, do all the rigging, do all the setting up. The people who work at Saturday Night Live are some of the most impressive professionals in all of entertainment, movie, TV, or otherwise. I think it is one of the most incredible feats to do once, and they do it yearly and weekly.
Yeah.
It's just impressive.
Like, if you want to get any kind of scale to how this works or how it's done, there is a show called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. It is about a live show from the Studio 60 in LA. That will show you essentially how a live comedy sketch show works from week to week. And it is an incredible, like, not to mention that the show is quite good. It's incredible to essentially get to see essentially how it all works together and stuff like that from the start of the week where they were all planning out some of the sketches and starting the writing to consistently having meetings with the prop guys and the set guys and the cue card guys and everything to get them all up to speed. And then at the end, as you said, they have like 40 sketches. Or they have a lot more kind of thing, and then essentially cutting those ones out. So there's sets that are being built and ready and stuff like that, who get cut pretty much up to the mark.
Yeah.
Like, as in, some of the marks are just like, we have to cut this for time, we can't have this, kind of thing.
Their cue cards are art. Like, they work without teleprompters, so they don't use, the little TV screen with the words going up, but they use physical cue cards that are written by a cue card team. Mm-hmm. Why do they do that? People would ask, can you not just script it and do it beforehand and then rehearse it? They will make changes on air. While the show has started, they may still be making adjustments and making changes. Yeah. It is truly incredible. The people who do it on stage are masters of their craft. The people who make the stages that they do it on, the makeup artists, all that, masters of their craft. But I want to tie back at the end of this video to the start. Somebody like Lorne Michaels being able to keep that much talent together, there's probably going to be a downside somewhere. Mm-hmm. So for everybody out there that's going, oh, but is Lorne Michaels probably not a little bit evil? I don't know. There's a good chance. There just is. I don't want to think about it too much, because you would never be able to enjoy any entertainment if you got hung up on the bad side of anybody. Pete Davidson, one of the current stars, I'm pretty sure he's probably done things that he regrets and that I don't want to know about. He's still one of the current stars in SNL, and I will watch SNL. I think it's one of those shows that is very much heading into the rough phase for it, because people are becoming more and more into taking things down.
Yes.
And Saturday Night Live will always be a very easy target. Recently, they had hired a new cast member who then seemed like a bit of a prick, to be honest, and it was found out that he had used racist and homophobic slurs and recorded podcasts that he'd done before, and he got canned. Mm-hmm. Saturday Night Live, I'm not saying he shouldn't have got canned. I'm kind of glad he did. I don't know if it was the right choice. Whatever, there's a whole big discussion about that. But Saturday Night Live, if you dig, you will find it. Mm-hmm. It's maybe better to consider that with what they do and the depth and level to which they do it, completely digging and going, oh, but Lorne Michaels, or oh, did Kristen Wiig once do something dodgy? I don't know if she ever did. She's an awesome actress and amazing comedian. So yeah, that's why I wanted to drag it back around, because I know people will be like, oh, but you didn't talk about any of the downsides. Yeah,
no, I completely understand. As most shows and most entertainment things, there's always going to be essentially skeletons in the closet, and as you said, if you go looking for them, you're going to ruin a lot of entertainment for yourself. Think of the Kevin Spacey, Dustin Hoffman stuff. They are fantastic actors. They did pretty awful things, but their body of work is now sullied because of essentially that thing. Whereas I still like some of their movies and stuff like that. Rain Man is still pretty good.
I don't want them to make any more. I don't want Kevin Spacey to make any more movies, because I think the guy's a douche, mm-hmm. and I hope he gets what's coming to him, etc., etc. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to look back and go, well, The Usual Suspects is now a terrible film.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate nature of live TV.
Yes.
And being produced weekly, you don't get to have that distance. Mm-hmm. So they're in danger. I'm hoping that they survive this next 10 years. I'm sure they will. Also, we've now got to a stage where we maybe, if we're talking about the negatives, we should take a moment and think about all the success that came to maybe people a little too young when they weren't ready for it, or because they were troubled people. There's the famous John Belushi, obviously didn't survive his fame. Chris Farley didn't survive his fame. There have been a lot of people who've taken to drink, drugs, and other behaviours that have been self-destructive. that happens in all walks of entertainment. For a while there, it was looking like Saturday Night Live might have a pattern, just because it really does. It's relentless, and also makes stars out of people who we're not. It's not like you get to make 3 or 4 movies as a side character and then you get to be main actor. You maybe came off a stand-up stage and went straight in. So, yeah, I don't want to dwell on the negative, because it's a marvel. It's a marvel of TV. And it's now a marvel that for all of you in America who get to enjoy it every Saturday night, I now no longer have to go and download it, because SNL put their show out on YouTube, on this very platform, on a Sunday morning. So get up in Europe on your Sunday morning and do what I do. Watch Saturday Night Live and pretend it's nighttime.
Like cartoons, on your Saturday cartoons.
Yeah, like very weird cartoons.
Yeah, very political.
So leave a comment down below if you're a fan, if you're not, if you're going to check it out because of this, but particularly if you have a favourite sketch, and maybe drop a little link in there, because you can never get enough SNL in your life.
Bill Hader being the old news reporter guy. What's his name? Is this the dude who does the interviews? Oh no, I know the one you're talking about. He keeps bumping his thing. He's a very it's a plug on a very old news presenter or news anchor who then did interviews live. Bill Hader does a great sketch on it. He's fantastic. Bill
Hader is basically my version of just perfection. Now, if I could be somebody, it might be him, because Barry, which is into its second season, is amazing. Bill Hader's done nothing bad ever. He's great. My favourite sketch, maybe, God, there's so many. I don't want to go back to any of the old ones. I think Kate McKinnon and Cecily Strong with, I think it was, because they did it a few times, but the best one is probably with, not Ryan Reynolds, you know the guy from Drive? He's Ryan Gosling. They do an abduction.
The abduction was great.
Abducted by aliens, and Kate McKinnon does a description of she wasn't abducted by the best alien, and the other two were like, I got to see heaven, and she's like, I don't think I got the executive treatment.
Which is great, because she is one of the best things about the female Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters 2016 thing. She is just shows her chops and that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And anyone who says that she's terrible in that film, I will fight you.
Yeah, and I will be right behind him, ready to kick your ass a second time. On that note of ass kicking.
And SNL protection.
Fair play to everybody out there in the cast. I would love one of you to drop a comment on this and share it with all your many followers. And until then, I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
And we've been Hear Us Out.
Bye. The silent clap. Oh, that sounds awful.
It does sound like a euphemism for a sexually transmitted fart disease.
Oh, the silent clap.
The silent clap. It's deadly, but silent.